I usually start off with a very rough sketch. I chose statues for references. The shapes are very readable with this type of lighting. So it was a really fun study. And I definitely encourage anyone who wants to learn how to paint to do these kind of stuff because these help a lot. Things like this is mainly to learn how to merge shapes, doing shape design, figure out how to make things readable with like very minimal values. So right now I'm just doing a very loose sketch and you'll see I won't go too into detail with the sketch because this is mostly I mainly just paint. I don't keep these layers for very long. I'll start merging everything to one layer. So here I start making a new layer underneath and taking only two values. And this is, like the blackened stage, I guess you can call it. And yeah, start doing this. I had another value to separate the light and the shadows. Kind of like very important because if you can have it read with just minimal values, then you're pretty much in a good spot. Start looking at things that was readable. So I'll squint my eyes. I'm like, okay, should this be a shape? Should this be one whole shape? Should I have more detail here? Things like that. What you'll also see me do here is you'll see me, some spots are hard edges and others are soft edges, which is very important when it comes to painting. So I'm also using a soft brush here. So I switch it to color dodge and I use that to increase the brightness in certain areas. And that gives it a really nice lighting and have more values to play with. Really makes the image like pop out more and I'm like, oh. Up here near the hair, I start merging. I'm like, okay, what can I do to merge these shapes? So I have one that's going all around the ear. And I'm looking at the reference. I'm also doing that here in the arms, giving it some form, some shape. Ones with the high contrast is very readable. So in the wings, there's a lot of that going on, like the feathers. Doing a lot of hard paint, like hard brush, and using blend tool for the soft edges. And pretty much that's how I usually paint. Doing this way is a lot of fun for me because it feels like you're painting like a sculpture. Carving out shapes. Adding in new volume. Yeah, so moving on to the next piece. I wasn't too happy how this one came out, but this was a little challenging. There's a lot of soft stuff, a bit of subsurface scattering going on. I think there's There's a lot of softness going with this one, so I wasn't too fan of it, but I think it was still a good study. I noticed I wasn't too, you'll see. Here I am doing the same process with the sketching. I normally don't ever use multiple sketch layers. I'm not one for many layers when I paint. It's usually, I feel like it's taken away from the fun of painting. Usually I'll add layers, merge them, and then spend a lot of time with just that one layer. Alright, doing another blacken at this point. Using a texture brush. Here you'll see me do some outline, filling in the gaps, making the shapes. I'll be squinting a lot during this process because I'll see like, is that readable? Can we add an arm? You know, like I'll do stuff like this. Yeah. Very helpful if you squint because it minimizes the amount of detail you see. Correcting certain spots, softening edges. Yeah, this was a little tough. I wasn't sure if this was a good reference or not to study, but I don't know. I didn't get the face proportions very well either. I was struggling with that. Yeah, you'll see me here using liquify tool and kind of correcting the proportions. Then fixing up the edges. And some color dodge on it again. Little token. Even if it's like not doing studies, this is kind of the main thing I look for when I do my own paintings is getting the forms readable early on and the lighting. If I can get that looking good to where I'm happy, then I feel like the image has potential. And getting to that stage of being happy with it that early on, I find that very important. And doing studies like this really helps getting those kind of getting that process more easier. Be like, okay, it's this, and I see this image the way I envision it. If it's a colored piece, I don't generally like starting with black and white. Maybe if I did start black and white, it would be only for very little, and then I add color using like soft light blending layer. finding shade, trying to render a bit more, and figure out defining all the little details. Correcting things just liquefy again. This one was a lot of fun. There's a lot of shapes I can pull from this one, so I was like, I gotta do this. So, doing some very, as usual, rough sketching, making sure everything is proportionate that I see. I'll look back and forth, squint my eyes, like, it looks like it should be there. Looking at negative space, trying to get everything proportionate as much as I can at this point. Simple shapes for... Yeah, I'll even do shape design in my sketches as well. So you'll see me do the eye sockets and the nose shadow to help with the proportion as well. Here, grab the lasso tool, adjusting things. Looking back and forth with the reference. Yeah. Lacking in the colors or values in this case, and I'll put it all as one value. And also, it doesn't really matter what brush you use. I always been asked, like, oh, what brush are you using? Honestly, it doesn't really matter as long as it feels good to paint with. So I have my own, like, I pretty much just use a default brush that comes with the program. And I'm also using Paintstorm, by the way. Really nice painting program. Only $20. No subscriptions or nothing. And it feels really nice. Here, I'm also trying a different approach. So I take the base layer, I darkened it, and then I'm painting light on top of it. This is a really fun way to do this, to paint in light, because you start seeing forms a bit more clearly. Like shapes feels more clear when you paint light on dark. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. I'll erase and add in light, and it's already taken shape. Focusing on two values. Into my eyes, seeing what shapes I can use. So like in the wings, there is a gradient of like light and shadow. It's like, okay, what do you do with that? I'll kind of filter it out, and I'm like, okay, I'll just have the edge here and worry about that later. And I'll blend it in afterwards. But also this part, I'll add in a darker value once I feel like I got the lighting, I'll add in more values. I'll gradually add in values afterward. But like having more values when you start off can be a bit too much and too much to work with early on. So doing this way helps get the understanding of form, the lighting, and then when you feel like things look, decent enough, then you can add in more values, ambient occlusion, maybe brighter light, which I will do here in a bit with the color dodge. I think at this point I added a layer instead and just used that for color dodge and started erasing. To keep certain areas dark. Yeah, I merged it. So I'm working with one layer again. This is where the rendering process kicks in, where you start refining shape, adding in more detail. And another thing, I'm not doing the reference one-to-one. I'm kind of like just eyeballing it, especially with the wings, with all the feathers. I would be here even longer if I were to copy a one-to-one. So, you don't really need to copy one-to-one as long as you get the shapes and everything's readable. Here I'm adding more into the background because she's sitting on like a ledge, and I was like, what? I need to include that. Make it a bit darker so it's separated from the actual statue itself. And I noticed our proportions weren't quite right. I had to lasso tool move it up a bit. Find the face a bit more. Notice it was a little too big, so I took the liquify and crimped it up a bit. The whole process, this whole study took me about 2 hours. I didn't even set a time limit for myself on this one. I just kind of went and see what comes out of it. Usually, doing studies is pretty nice to do. Like, set yourself a time limit, but you're not like being all a perfectionist when it comes to this. But there we go. They're all my little studies. I hope this helps. If anyone is interested in how I do these studies like this. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one, whenever that is. Bye.